Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior and Travis. How are you both doing?
Hola.
Morning.
So, any evidence of curvature then, Nathan?
No. Any evidence of axial rotation, Anthony?
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core?
No. Any evidence?
Nope.
Any evidence of gravity?
Any evidence of gas pressure without a container?
Absolutely no evidence of a gas pressure without a container. Why would you think that's such a silly thing to think, Nathan? Have you been told that by education, or do you believe that yourself?
No, I know that you can't have gas pressure without a container, Anthony. What, gravity? Is there any proof of that?
Absolutely. There's no evidence of gravity either. We can say that while Arwin's not here.
That's very true. And did we go over the presupposition itself? What about R? Any evidence of R?
None. Of course not. Don't be ridiculous.
Wow, that was dispensed with pretty quickly. That was the fastest housekeeping we've done.
Yeah. Efficiency is my middle name.
Fair enough.
Now we can have a conversation. By the way, it's probably worth telling people why it is that we have housekeeping, Nathan.
We have housekeeping to demonstrate to the audience that we have absolutely devastating globe arguments, and the arguments that we present are presented in a question, so that anybody who is watching and feels that we are nuts, bonkers, idiots by asserting that the Earth is flat, all they would need to do is present answers to at least one of the many housekeeping questions that we come up with. For example, how do you have gas pressure without a container? So in that example, the people who believe they live on a spinning ball also believe that you have outer space, a vacuum, and yet we have gas pressure here on Earth. So how do you have gas pressure without a container? Obviously, the people who believe they live on a sphere think they live in an open system. So how is that possible? We would ask that someone demonstrated that to us, please, because we would assert that outer space is complete nonsense. And you can't have a vacuum next to a gas pressure. That's completely against the second law of thermodynamics. Look up entropy if you don't know what that means.
So it's not a fruitless exercise by any stretch of the imagination, although somewhat boring it may be. It does emphasise the fact that you ballers will believe anything that science tells you if it suits your narrative, but you refuse to accept anything that goes against your narrative, specifically things like gas pressure. When there's no evidence of any container, you can't have a gas pressure unless you have a container. But you'll believe that a whiteboard can explain it with a bit of maths. Utter garbage. Utter garbage.
Indeed. You on the road then, I take it, Travis, from your beeps? Excellent reply. A load of static. Yeah, it's definitely not a... No, we got nothing from you, Travis. Just static.
Sorry, I was sharing the show, and then whenever I open up my YouTube, it cuts off the audio for you, so I didn't hear anything until I just got back right now.
Gotcha.
So what was the question?
What do you know?
What do I know?
Indeed.
I know this is a very volatile topic, and even old friends can be torn asunder. name calling, deriding, abuse. It's just absolutely mind-boggling.
Yep.
But I had a fantastic 30-minute conversation on Sunday. I had to go to a court to reschedule a traffic issue, and while I was waiting, there was a police officer. There was no one else in the lobby, so I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, have you? Do you keep your ear to the ground? Do you keep your antenna up for what's going on?" He's like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" So I just started talking to him, man. We talked about everything. He was just throwing everything at me, but he was totally cool about it. But he was like, "Well, then what about this?" Well, yeah, but then, and he brought up the Coriolis with long range snipers, and I thought I handled myself pretty well. I couldn't do anything about recording because it was a courtroom area, so they didn't even let you bring in your cell phone, so I couldn't record it. But it was pretty good.
Cool.
What was your reply to the Coriolis? What can you remember? You said you held your own.
I basically said, so you understand right now that you're telling me that the bullet is traveling independent of the Earth's spin because it's going to wind up in a different direction. He's like, yeah. And I said, well, you have to extend that out to everything else once it's left the surface of the ground. I said, for instance, a helicopter. If the Earth is moving underneath a projectile, no matter how fast it's going, because that's not a factor in it, we don't say, well, it only affects the projectile because it's going faster than the speed of sound, for instance. Or even what we talked about with Jimbo talking about shooting the 50 cal straight up in the air. And he looked at me and he's like, and he didn't say that makes sense, but his look was like he understood. He's like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, there was an acknowledgement that was non-verbal.
Yeah.
I know that look, Travis, when you say something and someone looks back at you as if to say, I'm not going to say yes, but...
Right.
Yeah, the planes going in opposite directions is always going to be the killer, because if someone's got a vague notion of what Coriolis effect is, they'll know that you see a deflection of something like a bullet, like your police officer with his sniper rifle. So you say, right, so it's deflected because the Earth carries on turning underneath the bullet once it leaves the gun. It's no longer attached to the Earth because it's no longer in the barrel of the gun. It's travelling through the air. So the Earth turns underneath and you see an apparent deflection. So why don't planes go different journey times in each direction? What's with that then? Why are they the same time? Surely the Earth's turning underneath, right? Or what about a helicopter? Why can't you just take off and let the Earth turn underneath you? Yeah, we're not moving. The Earth's not turning. We're not budging a smegging inch. We're static.
Yeah.
Anybody that wants to know the good discussion about that should check the hangout a couple of hangouts ago with George Netanyahu. It took him 3 attempts on 3 different hangouts and he still couldn't get it. He still argued nonsense and tried to make it literally as obfuscated, confusing, as convoluted, convorted, destroyed, whatever adjective you choose. He tried to make it as difficult to understand for everybody as humanly possible. That just tells you how stupid it is.
Yeah, but that's true with every single housekeeping. You know, they've accumulated over the course of the debates from arguments that we've won. So a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth is off the back of an argument with a guy who was, all self-confessed intelligent, Paul Voigt. Thinks he's smart until he gets asked a question like that. Then watch how quickly people fold.
Yep. So there's so many contradictions in the model, but they all believe any explanation, no matter how ridiculous, and criticise us for questioning it, no matter how sincere the questioning is. I find it repulsive that most of them know that this is all contradictory, but they still push it as truth anyway. So George, Rumpus, Paul Voigt, all of them, they're all idiots. Utter morons.
Hey, Renty.
Hiya. You all right?
Not bad.
That was a very masculine hiya.
Did you get to see my intro? Did you see the intro? Were you watching the start?
No, but I saw the intro that you uploaded last night.
Oh, I don't
assume
know
that's what you did.
I just want to see how well it worked with the actual show. But I'm sure someone in the chat will say.
I missed it by a matter of minutes.
I'll watch it afterwards. I'm very excited about my new intro. Big shout out to Flat Earth Audio for making that for me. It came out of the blue. He didn't even hint that he was doing it. He just said, "Hey, here you go. What do you think of this?" And I was like, "Wow, love it." Miami Vice intro. 80s cool.
Yeah, it's great.
So Flat Earth Audio, what else does he do?
Reverse engineers people like Jimmy when they're lying through the back teeth.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was Flat Earth Audio as well. Good guy.
Oh, I wanted to mention I smashed through the 900 subscriber mark yesterday, which was awesome.
Cool.
Yay.
Well done, well done.
It won't be long.
Definitely.
You'll be at 1,000 soon.
Just do what Simon Dan does and buy like 25,000 of them for about 300 quid.
Hey, I tell you what, have you seen Conspiracy Cats? How many subscribers he's got now?
Yeah, but
Yeah, he'd get
Conspiracy
more
Cats...
if he was to actually respond to his video that Nathan's basically debunked.
Well,
I don't
forget
get
that for
why
a
he's
side.
not
Yes,
done it.
yes, that's true. But I think Conspiracy Cats is actually a good videographer, unlike Simon Dan. So of the two, if Conspiracy Cats had the subscribers that Simon Dan had, I'd go, maybe. You know, he's talking about mainstream stuff and he's a good videographer. Why not? But Simon Dan, in his bedroom with books in the background and a crappy globe in his bedroom, it looks like, just garbage, making videos about no-name flat earthers. 500,000 views on that? Million views on that? No, just total nonsense. But like I say, if Conspiracy Cats had that... In terms of his videography, I'm not going to knock him. I did watch the video about me and I laughed. I thought it was really funny, especially a bit with the cards. I was like, that's really class.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's he's clever and he's funny. I enjoy watching Conspiracy Cats stuff. I don't agree with it, you know, but he puts a good video out. Let's put it that way. And you compare that to Simon Dan, totally different. It should be the other way around. I think Conspiracy Cats, if they were going to promote anyone, should be the one doing more so than Simon Dan. That's for sure.
Simon Dan doesn't do any science. He doesn't do any science. He doesn't do any evidence. He just does rhetoric, which is basically like Red's rhetoric, but he's got gay haircuts.
Hey, Jazz.
So I don't really see the benefit to Simon Dan at all, to be honest.
G'day.
Oh, hey, got a new guest. Matron, is it? Martin, how you doing? Can you hear us?
Hello, was.
Wasn't.
Hi, Randy.
Hi, Martin.
Hi, Jazz.
Can we get a hello from Martin? No. Hey, SX.
SX0 is through.
Hey,
as well.
TV
Hi
on the
from
back door.
me.
Good morning, guys.
Morning. Where were we?
Toilet Duck wanted to join, I believe. Yeah, Toilet Duck 44. Can you get a working link? Right, so I think if you just want to click it, it says he has some Greater Sapien stuff that he wants to share. So
Refresh the page. Sometimes if you've started from the beginning. How you doing, P? Good to have you.
Hey, good.
If you had the debate open before it started, i.e. you've watched it right from the start, you may have to refresh your page just to get it working. Hey, Martin, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good to have you.
yeah, can hear you. Yeah.
Thanks. Awesome.
So
What can we do you for, Martin, as we've never heard from you before?
Yeah, I watch you guys pretty much every day. First of all, I wanted to say you're doing an awesome job. And then second of all, I was having a chat to Anthony earlier about Greater Sapien. Yeah. And I've done a little digging and I've come across something really interesting. I know you guys, I was listening to one of your episodes just the other day. You guys were talking about, you were looking at the ticket and you were trying to figure out why it doesn't have a ticket number and that sort of stuff. And I've been having a look at his videos and I wanted to share something. I don't know if I can share my screen and you guys can have a look.
Yeah. Do you know how to do that?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Screen share. Yep.
Top left-hand corner.
Yep. Can you see the screen?
You're up if you just go to whatever page you want to actually display. There we go. Great.
Okay, awesome. Right, so I've got a little text document over here. So, I'm referring to this video. I don't know if can you hear my audio if I play this?
Probably not.
Can you hear?
What are the audio?
No. Okay, that's right. Okay, so he talks about this flat Earth that goes and contacts the vendor and whatever. But I found you don't actually have to contact the vendor. So on I was having a look at, where is it? The members page, around 428. This members page, trying to figure out what this was. So this is just, I'm not accusing anybody. This is just kind of like putting a little bit more suspicion onto it, right? So he's got this email over here between this person at Sing Events, but he doesn't actually show what his email originally was, which is also suspicious. So I tried to find this page. I ended up signing up to Zing Ticket Manager. Signing up, it was free. It was just a standard basic account. I created my own event. I put some prices in here. Everything was all free, and you don't need to pay with a credit card because it's all, it's just like a dummy test, right? So I put it in 2020, fake numbers here. Could this be frauds? See dark, blah, blah, the dates. And then I went to set up ticket sales, I think it was. You can actually do like a test. You can actually, you can buy a ticket. And so I ended up with this. So I have an invoice and I have a ticket, right, which matches what he shows. Yeah, right. So I have, where is it? I have this, right? I have exactly the same thing as he's got. Yeah, I have exactly the same thing, right? Well, I don't think it's enough evidence, but I can replicate exactly what he's done here. I have a ticket, I have an invoice. He hasn't shown any of this stuff, right? He hasn't shown any of this with sample on it. And he's blocked all this stuff out. And I've got exactly the same thing. Attending. So what he's showing here to me means nothing.
Yeah, Fepe, Flat Earth Perth also did a similar thing. He released it yesterday, about maybe 12 hours ago, and just did exactly what you've done. So he set up a,
did he?
You know, not a fake. I don't want to call it fake, but it's like a test ticket.
Yeah, it's a test. Yeah.
Yeah, and he just produced exactly what you did. Almost identical. You've done exactly the same job he did, which is great. You know, everyone.
Right. Okay.
Don't take that the wrong way, because it's, you know, it's good, because it just means that people are all of like mind and thinking, well, how can you logically go about producing what he has produced in his video? And Flat Earth Perth has been asking for the same thing over and over again. Give me the ticket number, because he's in touch with the administrators. So just give us the ticket number. Show us that you've actually paid. Show money leaving your bank.
Yeah, exactly. All right, awesome. Well, that's all I need to share.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, the flies are around Great Sapien like flies on shit at the moment. You know, it's just unfortunate for him. If he's dodgy, he's got a lot to worry about. If he's not, he hasn't. Simple.
Exactly.
Yeah, but also, if he's not dodgy, it's not difficult, or it's not only not difficult, it's also expected to show that you are whiter than white. Because that is the expectation when you're holding trust money. That's the whole point of trust, to show that you're whiter than white. I don't understand why anybody would be defending the notion that you should keep the money, or at least not show anybody or not prove anything to anybody. It's ridiculous. Unless you're complicit involved in hiding this stuff, show it publicly.
I don't think that's very good evidence. Like, you don't really have good evidence, though, that he is doing anything shady.
Yeah, but it's not that we've not got evidence. It's that he's not showing the evidence that shows that he's not.
Yes. Yeah, it's not evidence.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
Pete.
like, why accuse someone if you don't know that they did something?
Nobody's accusing anybody. Nobody's accused anybody. We're saying this is a dodge circumstance. We've got lots of dodgy people trying to fake a trip around the poles. Well, if you're involved with that dodginess, we want to know about it. You know, for a start, we would say that is your proof. That's what you need to do if you want to prove a globe. You need to do a polar exposition and prove it. You have to excuse my heavy cold. But if he's dodgy, then we've got a right to say, look, just show us that you're not. He's got every right to tell us to sod off. I'm not showing you anything. It's his attitude. Then that's fine. We can't do anything. We can't then say he is dodgy. But nobody's saying that. Certainly not Flat Earth Perth. From the videos I've watched, he's not saying you are dodgy. He's saying just show us this particular bit of information, if you please. That's it.
That is a hard one though, Nathan, because I personally know nine helicopter pilots that have flown in Antarctica on a 3-month turnaround.
Evidence, please.
Don't talk over him.
No, he doesn't know any helicopter pilots. You are talking rubbish, Jazz. You are not clever enough to have conversations with anybody in that kind of job. I'm calling that bullshit right now. I want to see evidence that you know anybody that can fly a plane or a helicopter now, before you go any further.
No, I'm not showing you evidence for the simple reason that if you can prove to me that you're not paranoid as frig, which is the only reason you need to know that.
Hitchens
You prove,
if you can't
prove you're not
your
paranoid,
assertion,
I'll give you the evidence.
Okay, let's pretend for a second.
No, I'm not
that-
interested.
Okay, let's just pretend that
No,
he's
you're full of
presented
shit,
evidence that there's helicopter pilots, right? So what? I've interviewed a guy who's flown a plane in Antarctica. So what?
My ex-boss was just given 2 months ago, was given an award of bravery for rescuing victims from a helicopter crash, and you can even look it up on the interwebs.
Yeah, so what?
Are you saying that that's not true?
Who cares? I've just said let's assume you're true, and you've no helicopter pilots who've flown in Antarctica. So what?
So are you okay? So you're assuming that I'm telling the truth, that
Far
I know
from it.
them.
I'm just saying let's
Are you
take that as
telling me
read.
that they're
What's your
lying to
point?
me?
I'm saying let's take it as read. I don't care either way. What's your point though?
It's not like we're denying. It's not like we're denying that Antarctica exists. So the question is, why are you? What's the point? Nathan's saying it again. Why should we care that you know someone? That
No,
has gone?
of course you're not denying that Antarctica exists. What you're denying is that people can't go there, which is completely false.
Sorry, did you not hear me just say I've interviewed a guy who has been there and flown? So why would you assert that when I've literally just said I've interviewed a guy who's been there? That's nonsense. Why are you putting words in our mouth that we never say?
Because of what Wes just said.
What would that be?
Go ahead, Wes. I can't remember your exact words, but it was pretty much saying that I'm talking a load of bull.
Yeah, you are talking a load of rubbish. I don't even know why you're here, Was. You never bring Jazz. You never bring anything credible, ever.
I don't even know why you're here.
Jazz, you
To fight off people like you. We're the gatekeepers of Flat Earth, moron. We control the trolls. You don't understand.
Okay. Let's go with that. You're the gatekeepers of the trolls. How many trolls are there on the flat Earth?
Loads, and they've all got stock accounts.
How many?
Loads. Too many to count.
No, not loads. Not loads. There's a known number. How many are trolls?
Loads.
Thousands.
There's a known number. How many are
is there?
trolls?
Do you know the number? Do you know the number?
I don't know the number exactly, but we've got
2,643 precisely.
If you don't know the number and I give an answer, how are you going to know that it's right or wrong?
Okay, I'll give you this.
Go on,
I'll
then.
give you this example.
Give you this list. Name the trolls.
No, nothing. It's just a simple excursion.
Well,
Rio de Janeiro, the Rolling Stones are playing $1 million concert. There's 1 million people there. How many are flat earthers and how many are globetards?
what is this? This is ridiculous.
This
What
is
are you
another
asking?
one of those
It's
questions.
not ridiculous. It's real
Sorry.
life. It's reality.
Sorry, what's the point in the question though, Was?
Or jazz.
Jazz. Sorry.
Jazz, not Was.
I think he's making a fallacious argument.
Yeah, I still don't know the point of either of your arguments. So people can fly in Antarctica. Okay, what's the point in that? What does that prove, and then now we're on to something else. I've forgotten something benign. Also.
Yeah.
How many flat earthers are at a rock
if we
concert?
could move on, I'd be happy. But if you want to stay with this scenario, I'd be fine with sleeping because he can't answer that.
Sorry, I'll ask again. Who cares how many flat earthers there are at a rock concert? What's the point of the question?
No, the point of that question is you guys call everyone else globetards.
No,
right?
Only people who believe things that are nonsensical, like having gas pressure without a container. Things like that. They are globetards.
Yeah, well, Nathan, that's something you just don't understand.
Oh, explain it to me, Jazz.
We lose the standard atmospheric pressure at sea level was 113 hectopascals. It's 29.29 inches in the northern hemisphere because they use a different. They're not in the metric system. And for every
Hold on.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, don't go ahead. Carry on, Jazz.
I can't quite remember because it's been a number of years since I did my navigation ticket, meteorology ticket. But for every 30 feet, you lose 1 hectopascal, 2 hectopascals for every 30 feet in the elevation you use. So you go up the height of a power pole, the pressure above your head at that datum is a position above your position, specific position above the Earth. You lose 2 hectopascals of pressure, or 2 inches of mercury.
Okay. So what?
Well, you do the. So what? You do the math on that up to 30,000 feet and see how many hectopascals of pressure you have on you.
Sorry, so we have pressure. You've said the word pressure on several occasions, so we're absolutely certain that we have gas pressure then. Correct, Jazz?
Yes, but you're fishing for your answer again, Nathan.
Sorry, I didn't ask anything. I just established common ground. We have pressure. Correct, Jazz?
Again, you're fishing for your answer, but
yes or no answer, then I will move on to a different point. I just need a small concession.
No,
card. Now you're talking over me. So, we have pressure, don't we, Jazz?
On the surface of the Earth. Every 30
Excellent.
Feet we go
so we're
up,
in agreement. I hadn't finished my point.
Pressure.
That wasn't a cue for you to talk all over me. I just needed a concession that we do have pressure, Jazz. So my question again. How do we have pressure if we don't have a container?
We don't, Nathan.
We don't have pressure. So I'm breathing a vacuum, am I, Jazz? We do have pressure, I assure you. You've just told us all about it. I'll ask the question again.
Nathan,
How do we... You're talking all over me, Jazz. No need, mate. No need to get triggered. It's my turn to talk, buddy. Yeah? You've rambled your shite. You've rambled your shite. Now shut up. How do we have gas pressure without a container?
Because at the surface where we are right now, on the surface of the Earth at sea level, at every different level is different pressures because we're different heights and there's different gas pressures that are taken away from that, how high we get from sea level. And that is that changes from the equator to the South Pole and the North Pole.
Yes, you've asserted all that. I heard it the first time. Jazz, I heard you the first time. Yeah?
No, you didn't.
Yes, okay, would you like me to repeat what you say? The pressure decreases as you go up in altitude and change your position on a presupposed spherical Earth. Was that close enough, Jazz?
Yes.
I listened to you. Now, repeat my question. Jazz, I listened to you and repeated back your assertion. Now repeat my question.
You're fishing for your answer.
That's not my question. I repeated your shite back. Now repeat my question.
Do we have different gas pressures?
No. Are you thick or deaf? That wasn't my question. Why are you senile idiots asserting things that have never crossed my lips? That's the question you want it to be, you complete retard. That's not the question I asked, dumbass. I'll repeat it. What you will now do, Jazz, is repeat back after me what I say. How do you have gas pressure without a container? Repeat it.
Hitler, I will. How do we have gas pressure without a container?
That's a very good question, Jazz. I'd like an answer to that.
Exactly. You're fishing for your answer, and it's completely false because you can't understand what I just said.
Yeah, I understood it. I repeated it back to you. We have varying degrees of pressure of the gas variety at different altitudes. That's fascinating. I agree. Now, how do you have that gas pressure without a container?
How do you agree with what I just said and then re-ask the same question you just put forward to me?
Because you didn't answer it. You have a delusion that we have a vacuum. Outer space. Now, that bit is bullshit. I've never seen it in neither of you, but you assert it as true. The bit I know is true is gas pressure, and every single example of gas pressure requires a container. My question is not pointless, it's pertinent, because every example... Shut up! Every example of gas pressure requires a container. If you are to assert otherwise, demonstrate gas pressure without a container.
I will do so now if you can allow me to. Or just an example I come across this evening. A flat tyre in my motor vehicle should have been 32 psi. It was down to 9. So a fairly flat tyre.
Yeah, but you have a tyre containing
Hold on,
that
maybe he
9
hasn't.
psi.
Hold on, maybe he hasn't finished his point. Was that the end,
Holy
Jazz?
crap.
Was that the end of your point? So your container has a hole in it, therefore it let the air out. Well, your Earth hasn't even got a tyre. You complete buffoon.
Holy snap, no shit.
Yeah, holy mother. I don't understand how to answer this. I've just asserted that my tyre, the container, had a hole in it and got flat. All the air leaked out. Yet the Earth has no lid whatsoever. But yet the gas stays on it. No, Jazz. That's why I'm asking for a demonstration of gas pressure without a container.
Can you... Would
Hey,
you
Jose.
fly to New Zealand?
Why are you asking me a question rather than getting a demonstration of gas pressure without a container?
Well, so
Your tyre was garbage. Shut up and show me gas pressure without a container, idiot.
I'm just telling you now that I...
Don't tell me anything. Go and get an example, a visual demonstration of gas pressure without a container.
That's exactly what I'm telling you right now.
Not telling! You idiots are deaf! Demonstrate! Show! It implies the use of my eyeballs, Jazz. Don't tell me. Show me gas pressure without a container.
Will you personally come here and I will personally demonstrate it to you, the gas pressure system, and that water will form a sphere in 0 G. I will personally demonstrate it to you. Will you do
what
that?
are you babbling about?
I will pay for you to do that.
What are you babbling about? Water in 0 G. Taking me to 0 G. You're going to take me to outer space? Is that what you're saying?
No, you can do it at fucking 1,000 feet.
Don't swear just because you're
Stop trying to make
losing.
me
Jazz,
swear
just because
from
you're
your
losing, don't
stupidity.
swear. Just because you're losing badly and you cannot demonstrate gas pressure without a container, don't swear.
Nathan.
That's my name.
Can I just tell you
do
what
whatever
I
you
just
like,
said?
Jazz.
Can I just tell you what I just said? Can I? Okay, I can. Nathan Oakley, 1980. Will you come to New Zealand?
No.
Hang on.
You don't need to ask a supplementary question. Will I come to New Zealand? No. If the rest of your question involves me being in New Zealand, then you don't need to ask it.
Stop talking. You're interrupting me.
You asked me a question. Will I come to New Zealand? The answer is no. Did you hear my answer?
Okay, well, I will come to the UK. I will take you for a fly in a Cessna 172 aeroplane. You can have a little bottle of water. We will do a 0 G pushover. You can plop as much of that water out of that bottle as you like, and it will form a sphere. in 0G. It'll be amazing. It'll blow your mind. You probably won't do it. I don't actually want your
What are you talking about?
airplane.
What does this have to do with gas pressure? You're talking about water. That's a liquid. Are you retarded? We're talking about gas.
No, Nathan. You're retarded.
Jazz, answer me this. Do you understand the difference between gas and liquid?
Yes, I do.
So why are you talking about dropping a bottle of water in free fall in a Cessna?
In a closed environment.
Correct.
Holy testicle Tuesday.
Not holy testicle juice. We're asking you a question about your benign example that proves nothing, you retard.
No, holy technical Tuesday, as in that use.
My question, I will ask again, for the retard known as Jazzaconda. Do you know the difference between liquids and gases, Jazz?
Yes.
Right, we're specifically talking about gas pressure, not liquid.
Yes, but you don't know the difference between gas pressure.
Between gas pressure and what? You breathing into your mic?
You don't know the difference between gas pressure and liquids because you assume that because the Earth's got a sphere that it should be, and there's a vacuum.
Sorry, I don't assume the Earth is a sphere. I don't assume there's a vacuum. Those are your assumptions, you complete retard.
No, you do, because you can...
No, I do not assume the Earth is a sphere. That is your assumption, you complete and utter retard. Don't tell me that I assume the Earth is a sphere. Yeah. I don't. That would be you, retard.
No, that's you.
No, I don't assume the Earth is a sphere. Okay? I have no presuppositional R value. That would be you. You complete dumbass. You used the word hemisphere earlier on this show. You definitely assume it's a sphere.
Yes.
Right. I don't.
Of course you don't.
Right. That's completely contrary to what you said. You complete retard. You literally have the worst short-term memory ever.
Nathan, I'll just point one thing out to you.
Don't point anything out to me. You're a retard. I don't need you pointing anything out to me. I don't need you pointing stuff out to me, Jazz. You're a retard. I will become dumber for listening to you. I would rather just talk over you because I will become more stupid for having listened to your words.
I have the right to talk, but I bet you'll disconnect.
You don't have any rights on this show. At all. I will call you a retard for asserting that I believe the Earth is a sphere. Then I'll shut you up when you babble nonsense for 10 minutes straight, which is all you've done. You haven't proved gas pressure. You've started talking about bloody water falling in a Cessna. That's because you're retarded. You are literally of a low IQ. You're stupid and you're getting irritating, Jazz. Very irritating because you're ignoring every question and saying things like, holy ball sacks, when you can't answer it.
Of course, 3,000 crazy people would. Love you a long time, big guy. You're wrong.
Yeah, you've got a very low IQ and nothing to offer us, Jazz. You are literally a retard.
No, you're a retard. Chemtrails...
No, you see, when I call you a retard, it's because I've pointed out, prior to calling you a retard, all my reasons. Like you flip-flopping between me asserting that the Earth is a sphere and then completely contradicting, saying, absolutely not, you don't assert that. That would be because you are retarded. That would be the example that defines why you are retarded. All you're doing is just saying it with nothing to go along with it.
Chemtrails are a legit thing. There's a patent for them.
No, there's not.
There is.
And they're going to get worse and worse.
There's a patent for them, dude.
There is, but they're going to get worse and worse with cleaner burning turbofan engines on the Boeing 787s and the Airbus A350s, and that's a byproduct of combustion.
Moron.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Go to bed. You're wasting everybody's time with no evidence, but plenty of rhetoric and nonsense. You're a waste of time, Jazz.
Yeah, because if we breathe air, that's a pressure system, and if Jazz believes there's an outer space where rockets can go and all the good stuff, he gotta explain where's the pressure ends and the vacuum begins. You know how? Where's the container? Where's the divider?
So is this the best that these guys can throw into the debates?
I actually don't think that these guys would say that Jazz represents them at all, to be honest.
I would hope not. I hope that they would be cleverer than him.
Jazz represents the liquor.
Yeah, just dumb people. That's
what they don't understand is that for us, gas gradient of the gas pressure is not a problem, because on a flat Earth, it may have a dome or whatever is holding. The problem is for them that they needed to be open so that they can go to space. That's what they don't. They don't get it. They fight it so hard, and they try to have it both ways. You know, that's the problem.
Absolutely spot on. They need it to be an open system. So when you say, well, how do we have gas pressure then? I.e., how do you have gas pressure without a container? They just go to pieces and start talking about water falling in Cessnas. Because they can't answer it. The answer is you don't have gas pressure without a container.
Even Conspiracy Cats himself said that in his most recent video. He said, all I do is remove the balloon and then you don't have pressure. I'm like, that's kind of our point. Why do we have pressure if there's no container? So far, crickets.
And then there's the 2 points about the loss of entropy and the Coriolis effect. Everything kind of has to do with the other, if it's a closed or an open system.
It's a bitch, that entropy, Nath, isn't it?
Say again.
It's a bitch, that entropy.
Yeah, entropy's a real bitch if you think space is real. Because you can't have the gas pressure on Earth if you've got a vacuum next to it.
Does BMARS think there's a pressurized system without a membrane?
Yes.
So you're a space believer?
Yeah, I'm a space believer.
Any evidence for it?
For space?
That's not what he said. He said he's a believer. Good for you.
If you're a believer, that's acceptable, because that by definition means that you accept that you have no evidence for it.
I have a religious belief in space.
Fair enough.
That's less than that.
Wait.
Darwin has a belief for downwards
Pete,
acceleration.
Pete, you were a flat earther last week.
Do I smell weed?
Well, you can be a flat earther and believe in space, can't you?
Not really. That's like being a flat earther and believing in
Not
God.
really, though.
Ali B is a flat earther and he believes in satellites, so...
Well, the way you define satellites is different to how you define satellites. And I actually agree with Ali V.
Fair enough if P wants to call it a religious belief in space. You know, he understands what he's got. It's like, you can't really criticise a Christian who says, yeah, I've got a religious belief in Jesus. You go, well, good for you. You know, you go on your way. Thank you very much for chatting to me. There's no qualms with people having religious beliefs. Everyone's entitled to their beliefs. And, you know, I hate to admit it, but the same applies to Tim Osman most of the time. He'll say, this is just my belief. I'm not trying to say I can prove this. This is just my belief. Fine, you know, if that's what you're prepared to admit. But if, like Jazz, you're like, nah, we've got proof because we've got pressure gradients, right? So we've got pressure. Well, first you need to show a container. You don't need one because we've got pressure gradients, and round we go.
One step at a time. Don't make P run before he can walk.
Do you believe in the
He
moon
can't run
landings,
anywhere,
P?
though. He's banned from everywhere else, so he has to put up with us.
Pretty much.
Do you believe in the moon landings then?
I don't know about them. I'm on the fence with the moon landings. I'm not sure. I had this one of my friends had this interesting theory where he said they actually went to the moon, but they also faked it too to create the narrative of the conspiracy theory or something, so they could control both sides.
Ah, the Alex Jones narrative.
I thought that was an interesting idea.
Nathan, you know your balloon knifing on your sofa thing that you did the other day?
Yeah.
It bore an uncanny resemblance to looking at the moon.
That was the Joe Rogan, right?
Oh, was it Joe Rogan, not Alex Jones? My bad. You say it looked like the moon?
Yeah, if you watch it back and instead of knowing that it's a balloon on a sofa, look at it again from a different perspective and think, that looks just like the moon. It really does. I actually thought it was the moon initially when I first saw it, and then I realised it was just a balloon.
The moon looked really nice last night. So, if there's no space, where do you think all the objects in the sky are?
Don't
like
know.
On a roof, or you just don't
Question.
know?
Excellent
I
question.
think all the objects in the sky are buoyant.
Oh, Anthony's got an answer.
I think all the objects in the sky are buoyant.
But that's only logical deduction that's told you that, isn't it?
Well, it's the absence of evidence to the contrary.
Why can't you just say I don't know?
So you think?
So I'm all right pushing that further. I think there's liquid up there in the form of liquid helium, liquid nitrogen, liquid everything. Because I think that when they get cold enough, they get to a liquid state that are currently gas states down where we are, but up there are liquid states, and I think there's liquid up there of some kind.
Fascinating musings, Anthony.
The only evidence we've got, though.
It's not evidence. What evidence have you presented? None.
No, it's evidence based on the fact that if you have a gas that's at sea level, right when you rise, the temperature drops. That gas eventually gets dropped and dropped and dropped and becomes a liquid, and it'll stay up there because that's the way the equilibrium works. As Darwin would call it, it's the density buoyancy ratio. It's the only evidence that we've got. There is no other evidence for anything else.
Okay.
So you think like the moon's is like at its equilibrium and it's less dense than air?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think.
Hello. Hello.
Yo.
Hey, Jimbo.
Ranty, have you taken any zoom ins on stars? Ranty about?
No, I haven't.
I have, though.
Doing that?
What?
Any chance of you doing that? Because they look like lights behind water.
Yeah, I've done it with the P900.
No, they don't. That's just a focusing issue with the P900 or most cameras.
Can I touch on pressure here?
You can, definitely. Yeah. Just let me just round out that point, though, for the gentleman who is bringing up taking pictures of stars and having them look like water. They don't. That is just an artifact, if that's the right word, of the P900. So when I've looked at stars, it's always been through a telescope. You don't get that effect.
What do you see?
Just looks like it looks. You know, it's more solid. It looks more focused. That's the only way I can describe it. There are images out there. The best recommendation I can make is to go to a channel called Take Back Space, all one word, which is Chris D. The channel used to be called Chris D or CD. But yeah, he does live streams with a very good telescope in 4K. And yeah, you know, you get to see, I would say, better than I used to get with my telescope. You know, I was watching his stream while I still had a telescope, and I was like, wow, your stream's like 80% as good as my telescope. And then I got rid of my scope and he moved up to 4K, and I was like, you're resolving more information than I could resolve with my 8-inch scope. So it just became pointless to keep the scope at that point. It's like I could literally type in Chris's chat, can you take me to Orion's belt? And he'll go, yeah, no worries. And then within 3 seconds, he's on it and focused. You're like, wow. For me, it's, I don't know, 25 minutes of cursing the telescope and trying to get it to line up and watching it drift away. You know, that's what I would do. Chris, he's just got the muscle memory like a gamer. So he just literally just moves the telescope into position. He knows where to move because he's done it so many times. It's just muscle memory. So he can do it really well. So if you want to see what the stars look like, go and have a look at Take Back Space. It is, I would say, better than I could achieve with a telescope. Cheap telescope. Well, I don't actually know. I didn't buy it, but I assume it was a cheap telescope. But he can do better, you know, with a live stream.
I'll just be a sec. I got someone at the door.
Sorry, go ahead, Jimbo. I rambled all over you. Wanted to talk about pressure, which is far more important in my opinion.
No, he's got someone at the door. He'll be back shortly.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Sorry. But yeah, I'm sure there's a few examples out there where they show the P900 being focused properly. I think you slip a piece of paper in front of it or something along those lines. I can't remember exactly. But then you can get it to focus in such a way that it will bring it back into the way I or someone with a telescope would see whatever, Venus or a star, general, any star really. And they all look different, yes, but they don't look like they look in those videos with the P900 with it all sort of shimmering and looking like it's underwater. You know, I mean, I might have been able to achieve that effect if I put it out of focus, but I hadn't seen it like that. And when I first saw those video clips, one was from Eric DeBay, probably 3 years ago, I was like, what? That's not what I've seen, you know? And then, sure enough, 12 months later, someone was saying, well, no, it's just the way the camera works. And without owning a P900, I didn't take it in fully, because obviously I've not gone out and tested it. But I do seem to remember someone saying, you just put a piece of paper in front of it for a second, it refocuses, and then you can have it looking like it should look. Hopefully someone in the chat will correct me or say the correct methodology of getting a star in focus with a P900. Hopefully there's somebody who can remember better than I can.
Well, my camera is not as powerful as the P900. It's just a 50 times zoom and it's less megapixels. But I point at the Jupiter and I can see the point of the source of light. I mean, that's a solid, not as that shimmery little dancing water waves. You know, I can it go into the blur a little bit, and then it just focuses to the solid spot, and I see the two little dots or three or whatever the moons that are visible by then. Very pixelated and not perfect, but it doesn't do that effect.
Yeah, like I say, I'm pretty sure it is specific to the P900. It's always been P900 cameras that create that exact effect that I've seen.
Hmm.
Well, I think it's because the P900 sees it as it actually is.
Okay. Well, it would match my telescope then.
Sounds like anecdotal evidence to me, though.
It will be interesting to see what more we get out of a P1000 in that regard, though.
Yeah, I agree. So, wait.
Pressure.
Let's talk about Nathan's mute button.
Could I maybe mention something about like science and pressure, seeing as it's kind of like supposed to be debate on, you know, science and flat Earth and other stuff?
Definitely. Go ahead, Jimbo.
Okay. We have a thing up above us called the jet stream. Massive airflow, lateral, horizontal over our head. When you have a fast moving stream, it creates a low pressure beneath it. The same way a adapter that you fit on your sink to empty your water bed, it has a column of water that falls, a hole in the side, and at the side where the hole is, a negative pressure is created. So if you wonder why there might be a difference in pressure on top of mountains or in high elevation as opposed to lower, it could be partly because this engine up there called the jet stream, moving at 300 miles an hour, entails. See, it's like when you run the shower and your curtains suck in on you and it prevents you from singing. That's called entailment. But the vacuum is created, or a low pressure is created, by a fast moving stream, i.e. it forms or creates a vacuum. It is a cause of low pressure. That's all I have to add.
Yeah, we're in a dynamic system. I completely agree.
Yeah. And again, low pressure is caused, or can be created, vacuums can be created by a fast moving stream of air. It creates a low pressure around it.
Yeah. If you look at the way freshwater salmons work, you know, the salmons that swim upstream, they create vortexes behind the fins that allows them to basically stay in the current that's flowing against them they use the current to create a vortex behind their flippers or what their fins, to counter that flowing water going over them, so they maintain their position without making any effort. Same kind of thing. The atmosphere does the same kind of thing when you get high winds.
Beavers can cut a branch, bring it to the middle of a river, and have it float there in a little eddy and not move. And they can prepare a dam by floating logs across a river, floating them, and they stay put, and then building around those floating anchor points. Engineers.
They smart.
I guess the main point is that low pressure at high altitudes in part can and is created not only by the condensation of water and the reduction in the space it occupies, but also this fast-moving jet streams that are above our heads. Huge columns of air that move laterally across, and they cause a low pressure. It's an engine. It causes things to happen.
Excellent. I think that's probably my cue to round out the show for a quick break. So with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!